You might have seen on my channel's community page, sometimes I post links to interesting upcoming auctions. I try to focus on those auctions that have those types of things that really get our blood pumping. Things like pirate treasure, early 1600s, 1700s, silver coins, gold coins, that kind of thing. And once in a while, I'll post an auction that has interesting bullion also. I think it's kind of fascinating to see what the market's doing. So you might have seen me put up posts where I talk about upcoming auctions from a company called Heritage, and I've sung their praises quite a bit on my channel. I've got quite a few things that I bought from Heritage over the years, some things that you've seen, some things that maybe you haven't yet seen, some things that you probably will sometime in the future. And I've also talked to a good extent about another company called Stack's Bowers, one of the other most prominent coin auction companies in the world. And I've talked a little bit about Great Collections. They are another slightly newer auction company that's really seemed to be gaining some traction recently. I've only dealt with them a little bit, but they seem to have some interesting attributes that maybe the other auction companies don't have. I'll talk about those in just a little bit. If you're new to the channel, my name is Dub C. I want to thank you for being with me here today as we kind of cross that bridge between coin collecting and precious metal stacking. This will be an interesting one, I think. If you are new to the channel, I'd love to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost anything to become a subscriber. It just kind of shows support for the channel, and it would mean a lot to me if you become part of this community. If you're one of my returning subscribers, you guys know that I really appreciate you being with me here again today. Hopefully this will be as entertaining as it is informing. I think that this is a little bit of a controversial subject, but I'd like to get your input. I want to see what you think about this. If you are new to the channel, I begin my videos with a simple disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not trying to offer any kind of financial advice. I'm simply trying to share some of my experience having bought and sold precious metals and rare coins for the last 30 or 40 years. And I also like to begin my videos where I can with a couple of definitions that we can work back into the subject. So this is an interesting subject. I've done an entire video series about this, but I'm going to hit you with a couple of definitions that you probably are familiar with. But if you're not, I want to kind of give you the groundwork so this all makes sense to you. Does it make sense? This is going to be a weird one, I think. I can already see some people starting to shake their heads and say, no way. So the couple of concepts that I want to talk about is a third-party grader. So these are examples of what we call slabs within the coin collecting community. These are rigid plastic holders that are sealed, and the idea is that you have a third-party grader that is completely independent of you. You send your coins to them. They offer a grade of what they think the coin has graded on the Sheldon grading scale. And then they seal the coin within one of these rigid plastic holders that we call slabs. They would probably call them holders. And the idea is that these coins can now be traded sight unseen, theoretically online, with the advent of digital cameras and websites that offer you the chance to upload images. Not quite so as important as it used to be. These third-party graders really came about in the late 1970s, early 1980s, and this became a really important development in numismatics, so much so that I think it is the most important development in numismatics since the invention of the Sheldon grading scale in the 1930s, 1940s. So this is you having a completely independent verification of the authenticity of the coin and also the grade where it falls on that Sheldon grading scale of 1 to 70. A huge and important part of numismatics, right? This has become part of our numismatic history. And when you think about it, the earliest slabs now go back to the, let's say, late 1970s. Well, that's approaching 40 and very soon will be 50 years of numismatic history. That's why I feel these are really important pieces of numismatic history. So I got this email recently from Great Collections talking about some of the pieces that they were going to offer. And one of the interesting pieces was a great big Tsarist Russia gold bar. And that's what really caught my eye the first time when I saw this email. And I was like, aha, this will be something that will be interesting to put on the community channel, community page of this channel. And like I said, kind of an interesting older piece of bullion. I thought this would be exciting. But it was one of the other pieces that was offered in the collection that really caught my eye. And it was a 1979 Philadelphia quarter. I want you to think about that for a second. I've got a pile of clad quarters here. We stopped using 90% silver in 1964, so this is way after that period of time. It's just a regular 1979 Philadelphia quarter. Anything special about that? In fact, there's absolutely nothing special about that, and that's what kind of caught my eye. Who would want a 1979 Philadelphia quarter? They made something on the order of 500 million of those when they made them. 515,708,000 1979 Philadelphia quarters. So it's really just an average circulated Washington quarter. It's clad, right? There's no silver in it. These are made of 91.67% copper and 8.33% nickel. That's what we call cupro nickel. And it's just a blend of copper and nickel that our non-silver coins have been made out of since 1965, continue to be made out of them to this day. This quarter, 5.67 grams. There's nothing special about this. In fact, it's not even an uncirculated quarter. Looking at the images, I would say it's probably VF to XF, somewhere around maybe 35 or 40 on that Sheldon scale of 1 to 70. Absolutely nothing special about it. In fact, this is one of the most common coins I can even imagine. So why was it being offered at auction? Well, that's a really interesting question, and we're going to get to that in just a second. So I've talked before on the channel about third-party graders, and I've talked about their slabs, the pieces of plastic that these coins are sealed in. And over time, these slabs have generations. So the parties that make them, the third-party graders that make them, change their slabs a little bit over time. We call those minor changes that would be a variety or a variation, right? There's sometimes they change the style of the label, they might change the font that they use, they might change the color of the label, but it's not a huge change. That's just a variety or a variation. But people who study these slabs also talk about their generations, and that's a little bit of a larger shift between styles. We have early generation slabs from PCGS and NGC. So if you know anything about a PCGS holder, you'll know immediately that this doesn't look like a modern PCGS holder, right? This is one of their earliest holders. This is called a rattler holder, and you might have heard it when I flipped it over just then. You can hear it just a little bit. It's called a rattler because the coin actually rattles inside of it. This is kind of a nicer, older coin, a nice Morgan. But it's one of the earliest generations of the PCGS slab. Why would we care about that? I think, like I said, that this is kind of part of our numismatic heritage. And if you go back to the very beginnings of this, you have to remember that we are collectors at heart. So there is something kind of special about a slab that was made 35, 40 years ago that isn't being made anymore, right? That's kind of the definition of who we are. We collect things. And collecting something that is no longer made, something that maybe they didn't make very many of in the first place, something that has lost many examples over time due to attrition, breakage, theft, the entire process of cracking out. And again, I've done an entire video series about this. I'll put some links down below if you want to take a deeper dive into the history of third-party gradings and slabs and how some of them can be quite valuable. But it's a fascinating part of our hobby, to me at least. We've got really neat examples from a defunct company called INS. These are beautiful examples of Morgan dollars that are sealed within these really cool old-fashioned style slabs that have different grades for the front and the back. Sometimes we've got a picture of the coin here so you know that it's authentic. Just a really neat piece of numismatic history, right? We've got examples, like I said, of PCGS. This is an older NGC slab. It's not the oldest generation, but we sometimes call these fatty slabs because they are quite thick. This would technically be a no-line fatty. I know we get into some weird terms here. More modern NGC slabs have a little bit of a line that goes across. That's why this is called a no-line fatty. Just a really weird thing, right? The fact that we would even care about that. Again, we are collectors. We like old things. We like original things. This is an example of a small white holder from Annex, and this is an alphanumeric code. So this is one of their oldest holders. We know that because of the sticker, the hologram here on the back, the code that they use here. This really is one of their first slabs as well. So antique holders are kind of cool, right? Maybe not antique, vintage holders, let's use that word. But they will soon be antiques. And every single day that passes, fewer and fewer of these exist. They get lost, they get stolen, they get broken out so people can resubmit the coins in them. And again, entire video series if you want to take a deeper dive down below. And then we have these generations of slabs that go up to the current date, and as slabs progress into the future, they add more and more information. There is the possibility that some of these slabs have RFID chips in them so we can track them. They have very sophisticated anti-counterfeiting devices, some of them that we don't know about, right? The third-party graders don't want to talk about them because they want to stay ahead of the counterfeiters. They want to stay ahead of the bad guys. So there will probably always be new generations of slabs, and that makes the older generations of slabs just a little bit more interesting. Every time that a third-party grader releases a new style, a new variation, really probably more a new generation of the slab, they release examples to the public. So when they're talking about their newest innovation, right, they're putting out a new slab that's got these anti-counterfeiting devices, that's got a new type of serial number, that's got a new special plastic that shows if somebody's tried to tamper with it, that kind of thing. They would release samples of those slabs so that people get a little bit more familiar with them. It builds hype about their third-party grading service. It's just a service to the people that buy from them in larger quantities. So a major dealer that submits to one of these third-party graders, they'd want to get one of these new slabs into their hands as soon as possible so they understand the changes that are coming along, and so they can also maybe tout those changes to their customers. So sample slabs have been a thing for almost as long as third-party graders have been out there. And it's kind of weird to think about it. Again, this is kind of a strange, subtle, nuanced field, but there are people who collect these sample slabs. A sample slab, generally speaking, has a pretty worthless coin in it. Once in a while it would have had maybe a silver dime or a wheat cent in them. But generally speaking, it's become kind of the standard that one of these third-party graders puts out a new slab. They just stick in a quarter or something that's, maybe it's uncirculated, but it's probably a modern coin with very little value. That's not supposed to be the intent of these sample slabs. It's really just to highlight the new generation of slab. And I did a video not too long ago where I was surprised with a sample slab that came to me. I am a member of CAC. This is a certification service, and it kind of surprised me a little bit because I had kind of forgotten that they'd be doing this. But CAC recently launched their own grading service that's called CAC-G, and they sent me this sample slab. You can see it says inaugural sample there. This is a 2000p quarter. Again, nothing special about this. It's uncirculated. They call it actually choice BU. But this was just an example of what their new slab was going to look like, all the different features that it's got. You've got the holograms, you've got the the QR code there, you've got their serial number. So you can just kind of get used to what one of these looks like. They want to get this in the consumer's hands as quickly as possible so that you can be comfortable with the new slab. It's a sample slab. Generally speaking, not a very valuable coin contained within. So there are people who collect these, and I guess if you're going to collect something in coins, it kind of makes sense, right? I said we're collectors. We like these things. I get it that it's not for everybody, and the examples of these historic slabs that I have generally have some additional meaning to me. I like to collect my coins, the coins that are part of my core coin collection, in the oldest slabs that I possibly can, because I think it adds a dimension to the coin. I've talked before about Dub C's choice. If you've got a choice between a coin that was put into a slab last week and a coin that was put into a slab 30 years ago, everything else is the same, right? The price of the coin, the grade of the coin, the style of the coin, everything else is the same. You've got a choice between this one that was put into the slab last week and one that was put into the slab 30 years ago. I'm going to gravitate towards the older slabs because I think they're fascinating. So it's not surprising that you've got people that collect these sample slabs, and it's my understanding that this CAC sample slab that came to me probably 3 or 4 months ago, 5 months ago, whatever it is, they're already selling for like $85 to $150. So that was kind of a neat thing to get in the mail. Definitely part of my permanent collection. I'm not going to sell it. I think it's kind of a neat piece of numismatic history. But let's backtrack a little bit and go back to that auction that I saw from Great Collections that ended just a couple days ago. This was a 1979 P quarter, just like any of the quarters that you see here. What caught my eye was that 1979 quarter was in a special type of slab. And again, I'm referencing the videos that I made probably 6 months ago where I talked about people who collect these slabs. There are really interesting, short-lived designs, generations, from some of the major third-party graders who are still with us, and I'm thinking specifically about PCGS and NGC. So PCGS did a design where the label that you see here, this green label, actually had what we call doily effects on it. They had really intricate designs all throughout it. It was probably some kind of anti-counterfeiting device, just really pretty weak designs back here in the background that you would barely even notice. We call that a doily holder, and they've become quite valuable. And then NGC, one of their earliest, in fact, I believe it is their earliest generations of slabs, this insert, the white insert that you see here, was actually black. So that really differentiated them from Annex and from PCGS. But it turns out that it really didn't show off the coins very well, so they didn't do that for very long either. So both of these third-party graders had these really interesting, very short-lived slabs that have become highly collectible. And I say in the videos about those, you have to be careful because PCGS and NGC recognize just how important those early slabs were. And both of them have re-released those. There is a modern generation PCGS doily slab. There is a modern generation NGC black insert slab. So you can't just think that if you've got one of those, it has extra collector value. It's very possible that these are the re-releases of them. Be careful, right? Always use a little bit of caution when you're talking about this, especially if this is a field that you're not that familiar with. But I mentioned in those videos that there was a very peculiar holder that PCGS released for a very short period of time called a Regency slab. The Regency holder was a very short-lived a very special kind of ritzy almost slab that didn't last for very long. And it was this elongated green holder that had kind of a little bit of a curvy shape to it. And it came in either a clamshell box or a nice drawstring bag that had like gold lettering on it that said PCGS. And I think the idea was kind of not entirely unlike the pieces that you see here. Like I said, as a collector of coins that appreciates numismatic history, having a special coin in a special holder, in this case vintage holders, adds a little bit extra to it. And I think PCGS was trying to capitalize on that back in the day, way before anybody really realized what they were doing. So they put out these Regency holders, and I mentioned in the video where I talk about these Regency holders that one of the cool things about them is that the comedian and actor Danny Kaye, it's my understanding that he was paid for some kind of a gig in really interesting silver Israeli coins, and each of those coins was slabbed in a Regency holder. So while PCGS didn't make very many of these, they didn't last very long. It turns out people didn't really care much for them. A big group of them, something on the order of 30 or 40% of the coins that are still existent today in these really cool or really ugly, depending on your perspective, Regency holders from PCGS actually say part of the Danny Kaye collection on them. And there's a little bit of cross-collector appeal. That was another term I wanted to kind of mention as we work into this video. Anytime you've got any kind of a collectible that has cross-collector appeal, you are expanding your base of potential buyers when you go to sell. And there are examples of, you've got a rare coin that has a special date on it. Maybe you've got a coin that's got 1776 on it. So you've got people that would be interested in the coin, people that would maybe be interested in a Spanish coin if that's what it is, people that are interested in the birth of our nation. So you've got a little bit of cross-collector appeal. If you've got something that's in a Redfield holder, another vintage slab that I talked about, something that was part of a Nevada hoard, and you've got somebody who lives in Nevada, they may think that that's got cross-collector appeal, right? They want pieces that are specific to that hoard that was found within their state. So anytime you can build cross-collector appeal, it's something to look for. Keep that in mind. So if you happen to like, comedians of the mid 20th century, or you happen to like Danny Kaye, and you are from Israel, or you like Middle Eastern coins, wow, you're really stacking up that cross collector appeal when it comes to something like a Danny Kaye Regency holder. And these Regency holders, because there are so few of them and PCGS made them for such a short period of time, they often sell for a high premium. I think I mentioned in one of those videos that I had an opportunity to pick up one of these Regency holders, and I passed on it because it was so ugly. I just thought it was an unattractive slab. True, it's a piece of numismatic history, but this was a piece of numismatic history that I did not want in my collection, so I passed on it. Maybe I made the right choice, maybe I made a bad choice. It's something that we just have to look at. So, the Great Collections auctions that I'm mentioning had a Regency holder with a 1979 P, a 1979 Philadelphia quarter in it. You're looking at a picture of it right here. So why did this catch my eye? Well, the Regency holders always catch my eye because it's something that I collect. Well, not Regencies, but vintage slabs, vintage holders, part of my collection. And every time you see one of those, it does kind of catch your eye a little bit. This piece is kind of neat because it isn't a Regency holder, and it still has its original, crushed velvet green bag that comes along with it. I'll show a picture of that here as well. But the price of this piece caught my eye in particular. And when I first saw it, it was trading for thousands of dollars. And I thought, wow, there's something really bizarre about this. Maybe I was a complete fool to have passed up that Regency holder when I had a chance. What made this Regency holder exceptional is that it could be considered a sample slab. And we talked about that with the CAC and CAC-G sample slab that you see here. I talked about how these are already commanding a premium because there are people who collect sample slabs. So now you've got some cross-collector appeal, right? Maybe you're a 1979 Philadelphia quarter collector, so let's call that the ground level, the base of this. But if you collect PCGS slabs, if you collect vintage slabs, if you collect Regency slabs, right? And now if you collect a sample slab, you've got some pretty serious cross-collector appeal. You've got people from all sorts of the hobby who are jockeying for position to buy this piece. But what made this piece exceptional is that it could be considered a sample slab, but it's probably a little bit more special than that, because it's very likely that this, instead of a sample slab, was really a prototype slab. There is some evidence to suggest that this is one of, if not the first, Regency slabs from PCGS. And we know this, it's special, right? It's got some special qualities. You can look at the label, and I'll compare the label on this piece that just recently sold with a traditional sample slab, traditional Regency slab. In fact, we'll take a look at one of the Danny Kaye slabs here so you know what I'm talking about. So now you've got people who are fanatical about these early slabs, and they're not just looking for the sample slab, but this could very well be the very first Regency holder. This could have been something from PCGS's archive. Somehow somebody got a hold of one of these that was arguably the first, if not just maybe one of the first examples of a sample slab. So of a Regency slab. So now you've got the ultimate in cross-collector appeal. You've got maybe 1979 Philadelphia quarter collectors, but you've got early slab collectors, you've got PCGS collectors, you've got Regency collectors, you've got the sample type slab collectors, and then you've got the potential of this being a prototype, one of maybe the first Regency holders that was ever made. And that's what really caught my eye about this, because by the time the dust settled, when this actually did sell at auction, it sold for, believe it or not, $8,250. But that's just the actual hammer price. That doesn't include the juice. That's the auction premium. Great Collections has to make some money off of this also. So with the buyer's premium, $9,281.25 for a 1979 P quarter. Now, It's not just the quarter, right? There's an old mantra within our hobby that is buy the coin, not the slab, because you're supposed to understand what the coin is within without even relying on the slab. You should be well enough versed in the grading of coins and your experience with dealing with these coins that you're buying the coin within the holder and not the holder itself. But if ever there was an example of somebody buying the holder and not the coin, this has to be it. There is nothing special about this quarter. It is the most boring coin I can even imagine. And yet it sold for over $9,000. And you have to remember that these sample slabs, these Regency holders in particular, probably date to the 1990s, early 1990s, right? This is probably something from the early 1990s. So you're talking about something that's really not even that old in the scheme of things. You're talking about something that's maybe 35 years old, maybe 40 years old, somewhere in that area. So somebody shelled out over $9,000 for maybe a 5-inch by 5-inch piece of plastic, 5-inch by 4-inch piece of plastic, because that's really what it is. These people bought the holder and not the coin. But I'm looking at this piece and I'm thinking to myself, if you wanted an example of an early PCGS rare type holder that was potentially a sample, but really probably more like a prototype, this is probably it. This has got to be one of the most scarce slabs that has ever come on the market. And I think that's what drove that price. When you think about it, with gold somewhere around $2,500 an ounce now, the reason I've got these Krugerrands and these quarter eagles laying here, quarter, that's not just a pun, right? I was talking about something that was a quarter versus a quarter eagle. 3 Krugerrands and 3 quarter eagles. That's how much gold you could have bought for that Regency holder that just sold. $9,281.25. Which would you rather have? 3 ounces of pure gold, and then not even that. Let's add in another 3/4 of an ounce. That's how much gold we're talking about that you could have purchased for that same price. Which would you rather have? I gotta say, I'd rather have the gold, right? I'm not stupid. But there is something really interesting about that. And that's why I collect older holders. And that's why I want, if it's possible, for my pieces to be contained within these older holders. And I've talked before about the extra, the special, something that makes your pieces really interesting. And I told you before about Dubsey's choice. If you've got a choice between something that was slabbed last week and something that was slabbed 30 years ago, I would be gravitating towards the piece that was the older slab. But I also like the stickers that are offered by companies like CAC and other stickering services like CMQ, because I do think it adds an extra set of eyes. It makes your piece just a little bit more special. And there is evidence to suggest that the market feels that way too, right? If you've got a coin with a green or maybe even a gold CAC sticker on it, you can pretty much ask whatever you want to for those pieces, and you will find a buyer eventually who's willing to pay for it. So, what are your thoughts? What do you think about this? Do you get it? Does it make sense to you? Is it ridiculous? Because there is no value in that quarter, right? If you cracked that quarter out, busted it out, you could stick that in a parking meter and not feel bad about it at all. That's 25 cents. That's how much it's worth. There is zero extra value to that piece. But that piece of plastic is worth 3 3/4 ounces of pure gold. And that's a really interesting development. Next time you are in a coin shop or when you go to the coin show and you're looking at these older slabs, I want to be very careful here. Not every single older holder has extra value to it. There are some that are made by grading companies that no longer exist that maybe actually detract from the value of the coin, believe it or not. There are some grading services that people discount. But if you've got the opportunity to buy a coin within an older holder from one of the respectable third-party graders, and you know that these are rare generations of early slabs, you might want to think twice about it. You might want to actually consider buying these older pieces because, like that Regency holder, these are not being made anymore. This is something that has definitely become much more collectible within our hobby. And it is very likely that through attrition, more and more of these pieces being lost over time, being cracked out and resubmitted to the third-party graders in hopes of getting a higher grade, that some of these older holders will add significant value to the coins contained within. Like I said, there is no value to that 1979p Washington quarter. That person that shelled out $9,000 was buying it for the plastic that was holding that coin. If you have any questions about this, in this video in particular, guys, I really want to hear your comments. Is there anybody out there, because I have a feeling that there's got to be very few people out there who would rather have had that Regency holder versus this 3 3/4 ounces of pure gold? Let me know which one you would rather have. I got to admit, even though I like these older holders, I wouldn't hesitate for a second to buy the gold instead. But you can kind of see the thought process of the person who did buy this. This is an important part of numismatic history, right? Leave me a question down below. Leave me a comment down below. I'd like to hear your thoughts about this if you have questions about any of this. And like I said, I'm going to leave links down below so you can look at those videos where I talk about the importance of third-party grading, and especially these really interesting historic older third-party grader holders, these pieces going back now 30 or 40 years themselves. They are an interesting part of numismatic history, and I think they have the ability to add just a little bit of extra spice to your collection. That's why I like them so much. So check out those videos down below if you haven't seen those series. If you would like to see me make videos about anything else, any other coin or precious metal related subject, leave us a comment down below. And if I do make a video or a video series where I take you up on your suggestion, I'll definitely give you a big shout out for that. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and click on that subscription button. Love to have you be part of this community. And like I like to end all of my videos, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey as we go deeper into the world of coins and physical precious metals.